Like to begin the day by acknowledging that no matter where our speakers are presenting from, we are on native land. I am here in Yurok territory today, and Save California's board and staff is based in Yurok, Karuk, Winnemewintu, Pomo, Hoopa Valley, Talowa, Shasta, Wiyot, Maidu, Ohlone, and Miwok territories. We would also like to say happy Juneteenth and voice support for all the people around the world that are fighting to dismantle systematic racism and for police accountability. We are in solidarity with the Black Lives and dismantling systematic racism. Systematic racism and colonialism impacts almost every aspect of people's lives, including the environment, water, health, and food policies in the state. This is true in California, where over 1 million people do not have access to clean water, and many Native people do not have access to traditional foods or lands, or are unrecognized. Locally, where I live on the Klamath, many people, including people that could be presenters for this series, do not have access to technology or power, and therefore cannot engage in online learning and decision-making during this crisis. Last, we wish to acknowledge that we support the removal of the racist statues throughout Sacramento and the Bay Area this week, and we will be giving an update on that effort when Morningstar speaks. So with that said, I'm going to start my screen sharing so that I can give a little introduction today. So the Bay Delta is a heavily impacted watershed. There are over 1,400 dams in California, and many are in the Bay Delta and tributaries. The Delta and Sacramento and San Francisco Bay suffer from many levees and dikes also that really impact the habitat here. Many of the Bay Delta watersheds used to have abundant runs of salmon and other fish that utilize the cold water in the upper watersheds. There were even runs of salmon for every season, which Native people were able to harvest. Now that so much of the watershed is diked, dammed, and diverted, there is little habitat for salmon left. This has led to the winter run and spring run salmon, green sturgeon, and Delta smelt facing extinction. Reverse flows from the large diversions in the Delta also threaten fish. Most of the dams in the Delta do not have fish passage, and that leaves upstream tribes without a valuable food source. These dams and diversions are mainly part of the Central Valley state and federal water projects. These projects use many of the same diversions and canals, but they do operate different dams. For instance, Shasta Dam is a federal dam, where Oroville would be a state dam. The Federal Water Project alone has 20 dams, and the State Water Project has 21 dams and more than 700 miles of canals and pipelines. The Federal Water Project is managed by the Bureau of Reclamation, and it mainly feeds farms and large agribusiness. The State Water Project is managed by the Department of Water Resources, and is mainly fed from water from the Sierras, and it mainly feeds cities and towns. The projects are usually analyzed together and coordinated in their operations, but this is not necessarily true right now due to some of the arguments over the Trump water plan, which Barbara will go through. Along with impacting the Central Valley and Sierra watersheds, the Central Valley state and federal water projects also impact the Trinity and Klamath rivers. The Trinity River is diverted into the Sacramento River near the Shasta Reservoir, and that's how our watersheds are connected. Some of the current processes that are impacting the Central Valley and Bay Delta watersheds and Bay Delta right now are the Trump Water Plan, a state water plan, a proposal to raise the Shasta Dam, a proposal to build the Sites Reservoir and for new diversions to feed that, a proposal to build the Temperance Flat Dam, a permanent contract for one of the top diverters, the Westlands Water District, dam relicensing for private dams throughout the watershed, which there are many, and the Delta Water Quality Control Plans updates, phase 1 and 2, which are supposed to restore flows into different parts of the watershed. We also have many agricultural pollution permits to deal with, as many of the watersheds are heavily polluted by ag pollution. And there are many water rights application and water rights fights within the Delta. So how much water is taken is decided by how water rights are allocated. However, there is much more water rights allocated than water exists, and this is called paper water, and it's a huge issue in California. And tribes also have senior water rights when water rights adjudications happen. How that plays into this watershed is yet to be seen, really, as most of the tribal water rights cases have not happened here. So California is home to many tribes, and we'll go through this more so later in the presentation. But many of the tribes that are in this watershed do not have established fishing and established water rights. Some tribes have rancherias, and there are a few reservations, but not a whole lot. And there were more Indian allotment and land claims, but we'll go through that a little more also later. But one thing to remember is that native lands were targeted purposefully for reservoirs and for building reservoirs throughout the whole water system. So when we look at this map of tribes in California, you'll notice a lot of the places, a lot of tribal territories are where there's large water projects and large dams right now. And quite a lot of tribes in California did lose their lands through the building of reservoirs.